This is another episode of the Indy Investor Pod. My name is Brett Snodgrass with Brian Snyder, and today we're going to talk about the new executive order issued by the Indiana Governor Holcomb about staying at home. What does that mean for Indiana businesses and Indiana investors? Let's get to it. And this is another episode of the Indy Investor Pod. Like I said, I'm Brett Snodgrass and Brian Snyder. What's going on, Brian?
What's going on, Brett? Man, we get these. I think we kind of decided that we're going to do this podcast every Monday and Thursday, and we're like, we can jump in and we need to do like an emergency podcast here and there. And we've had these for the next couple of weeks. We might continue to have these for a little bit and stuff. So,
Exactly.
Governor Holcomb coming out with an executive order yesterday for the state of Indiana that we have to stay home, kind of like the other states. They kind of call it the shelter in. So that order came out yesterday and is in effect. We're recording this on Tuesday, so the day before, but it comes out basically so Wednesday morning for 2 weeks. So what are your initial thoughts, man?
Well, yeah, my initial thoughts are, we can kind of change the world and change our state just by staying at home and watching TV, which is like ironic. But my initial thoughts are this has just been something that I've been concerned about. We've been kind of waiting for in the wings. We've seen other states been doing this. I think Ohio, your state has done this, staying at home, and I believe Pennsylvania and some other states as well has issued their orders of staying at home. And we've been kind of waiting for the nation to kind of come out with this. And obviously Indiana has done this. And my initial thoughts are, I think it's a good thing. I mean, honestly, we're seeing the coronavirus spreading, obviously in Indiana, and seeing the news updates every day. So this is a very contagious disease. And I think that this is tough for many businesses and the economy. And but it's also necessary. And the thing that we need to, be just aware of now is just, like Governor Holcomb said, just we're trying to eliminate the spreading of the disease so we can get back on the right foot later. So I think it's a good thing, but I think it's hard. I think it's tough. We're already in this kind of status of being at home and kind of quarantining ourselves. And I don't know if a lot has changed. I know that this is different, but there's businesses that are essential services can stay open, and food and grocery stores and healthcare. And I've even seen that parks can stay open. So I don't know if a lot has changed, I guess, in my opinion. I think a little bit, and there's a lot of businesses that are having to go home now that we're, able to go to work. But as far as our business, and for me, I guess not a lot has changed so far. So what about you, Brian?
Yeah, so kind of crazy. Same thing. I think we're all kind of waiting on this for Governor Holcomb to kind of come out with this for the state of Indiana. It makes sense, and it's going to be interesting to see. I know there are a lot of people that are, with him coming out with the order, a few weeks ago or last week with the restaurants and stuff like that. I mean, I know that was definitely tough on a lot of people. A lot of people out of work. A lot of restaurants having to just shut down completely. Some of them still being able to take carry out and stuff like that. But now we're going to extend into some other businesses and things that are going to have to shut down for 2 weeks, and some people being out of work and having to stay home. And hopefully they'll be able to open back up in 2 weeks, or it might extend longer. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But I think really what we want to do here is really kind of just focus on how this affects the real estate world, the real estate investing world, and just the housing world in general. So when it comes down to, we're talking about essential positions or essential jobs that can still take place during this stay-at-home order, and real estate falls into that because it factors into the housing unit and people having shelter. That's something that you need for livelihood. So the real estate world is going to continue working and going to continue going and stuff like that. And I was even just thinking, we actually have 2 team members right now that are getting ready to close on houses. We got one that's closing on a house tomorrow, and then one's closing on a house on Monday. When it comes down to, it's like this is a perfect example of like why kind of the real estate world is essential. Just it's right in front of us that our guys would not have a fun place to live because they already arranged for their leases to be up and, stuff like that. And they need to move. They have moving trucks ready to go and stuff like that. And they need to move into their homes and, send the documents and things like that. So, fortunately, I know it's for our livelihood, it is working, but I think just in general, when you look at the bigger picture of how important shelter and housing is for everybody, and that was really kind of eye opening. And as I was looking at that, and I was writing last night. I sat down and wrote a note to all of our tenants, just on like how this affects them, and just with issues on rent for April, and just like the fact that we're praying for them and all those things, and just like trying to help them out of like giving them resources of where they could look for jobs at this time and everything like that. So it's just a crazy time and a crazy world, but it's something that we need to look at as real estate investors, and just people in the housing development, of just like how important shelter is for people and how we can change people's lives and how we can affect kind of what's going on in the world and stuff like that. So yeah, so as far as what we're doing with business and everything like that, so we are just doing business as usual. I know Brett and I usually work virtually anyway from home, so it's not a big thing with us. But when we have people, when it comes to going into closings or checking on houses, the fact right now, like there are no evictions, so I'm like, okay, we have to check on all of our vacant properties, make sure that they're secure, make sure nobody's breaking in for squatters or anything like that. And there's a lot of things that we need to like kind of take care of and need to take a look at. But mainly, yeah, it's business as usual for us, and we'll make sure that our guys have like a little piece of paper documentation from us as leaders for our team, for that they can go out and they can travel and they can go into homes and stuff like that, because it is an essential part of our business on checking on those things. So yeah, I think Brett, when we're taking a look at this and just kind of thinking about how this is affecting Indianapolis and real estate investors, what are your thoughts on how this is going to work? I mean, we're kind of seeing two different sides of our business right now, of how is this affecting sellers and people that possibly can't afford their home right now, or we're going through a situation. And then we kind of have the buyer side as well, as like people that are buying from us because they are still looking to invest and things like that. Let's take a look at it from the seller side and how that affects people that are going through these times, that they might be struggling or what might be going on right now. So how is this affecting them, just in the world of real estate right now?
Yeah, definitely. So let's just talk about the sellers, and we might call them motivated sellers in our type of business. So this is obviously affecting a lot of people. It just Governor just mentioned last week that 50,000 Hoosiers have filed for unemployment, and which is a lot. Compare that to last year, it was 3,000 at this time. So a lot of people are out of work. They don't have an income coming in. Maybe they work by the hour, and there could be a waiter or a waitress that they don't get that money coming in, or just any type of job that you get paid by the hour, that they have to go home, and if they can't work, then they don't make any money. So it's affecting a lot of different people. So where that comes in for us is that we can help people, right? And I want to say that very clearly, that we are here to help people. And if you're watching this and you're a wholesaler, we're not out to take advantage of people. And as this is a vulnerable time for many Americans and Hoosiers, that they're in a desperate position, and we're not here to take advantage of people, but we're here to help people. And how we can help people is, many times people have a money problem, and right now there are thousands of people that have a money problem, a cash problem, a cash flow problem, that we can help them by still offering and buying their home, their house, right? A lot of them have a house that they might not need right now, or maybe they need to cash it out, or maybe they have a vacant house that's just sitting there not making them any money at all, and they can't do anything with it because the world is just kind of chaotic right now, that we can help them take that vacant asset that's not making them any money off of their hands. We can pay them cash for it. So a lot of people have a money problem, and some people have a house problem where they have too much of a house that they need, that their payment, they have this money and now their payment is too high, and that they need to sell or downsize their house, and we can help them with that problem as well. So I guess on the seller side, we have a lot of opportunities that we can help solve a lot of problems out there right now.
Yeah, and hopefully that is the case. And that's is I know we work with wholesalers all the time. We just work with investors all over the place, or just in a bunch of different aspects and stuff. And hopefully that is it's kind of in this time of we have our phones are ringing like crazy because people are kind of in desperate situations and need help in certain areas and things like that. So being able to help them in those situations, but hopefully that is what every real estate investor is looking at this point of, just like you said, not taking advantage of people, but you are there to help them out and talk them through every situation. Maybe you can't help them in a certain thing, but do you know somebody that can help them in another aspect and things like that? And that's what we're really looking at right now, especially just kind of going through this time of uncertainty. And kind of that's the thing is look at how quickly this has escalated, and what's just going on in Indiana right now. I think it was March 6th we had the first case of the COVID-19, and and now we're up to over 259 or something like that with 7 deaths. That's where we stand right now, and I mean those numbers are just going to continue to increase, and that's what the whole point of this stay-at-home order is for us to just for us to be able to maintain what's going on, because there's people, it's going to continue to spread, it's going to continue to move around and stuff like that. So just make sure you're being careful of when you're going out. If you do have to go out, if you don't need to go to the grocery store to buy that extra dozen of eggs and just kind of have what you have at home, just make sure you're staying at home, because every time you go out you're receiving germs, you're putting germs out there, and a lot of people don't know if they're carriers or not. And I think it's now we're in this spot of people are kind of opening their eyes and realizing, oh, okay, this is affecting everybody. I think for a little while it was like, oh, I feel fine, I don't have it, but you can still be a carrier of that. So it's just stuff you have to be careful of. So that's the reason the whole, behind the stay at home and everything like that. So, I do respect Governor Holcomb for putting that in place yesterday, which is going to go in effect tomorrow. So that's great and stuff. So, talking about from the seller side of, people are going through these dire situations, and hopefully us as real estate investors can be there to help them out in some way. Let's take a look at it from the buyer side then. There's a lot of opportunity right there right now of where people are able to purchase homes if you're looking for more rental properties or properties to flip. So Brett, do you want to get into kind of that a little bit too, of what opportunities? I know you went through this in 2008 when you kind of get into this business. And we're kind of looking at those same types of times where people we're going to fall into a recession. It's going to happen. A recession is defined by two consecutive quarters of decline and stuff and being down. So I think we're going to kind of move into that area. So when those things are kind of happening, and we're looking at things as a buyer, what kind of advantage does, not necessarily advantage, it might not be the right word, but what kind of ways are you able to kind of capitalize on what you really need to do as a buyer when you're looking for homes and things like that?
Yeah, I think that when you have a recession, that it does bring some benefits if you're prepared. And a lot of people are not prepared. And we'll see that happening because it'll weed out some of the people that are not prepared for this. Our company has been preparing. We've been talking about this for a year, right? And we've been knowing that something like this is going to come. So we've been preparing by getting our resources together, getting our systems together, making sure we're fine tuning our processes, our team, putting the people in the right seats, making sure we have enough cash to weather a storm, just different things like that. We've been preparing for this. So I feel very calm and very prepared for a recession to take place. And the benefits that I see is I see a lot of opportunity. Honestly, I see prices, in certain areas could come down some. So that's a good opportunity for us, especially in Indianapolis. It's a great opportunity. It's mostly a cash flow city. And it's a great opportunity for investors to continue to invest here in Indianapolis, and to rent them out or to get that cash flow for them. So what I see is kind of what was happening about 3 to 6 months up to 3 to 5 years now, as it's been a very competitive market on finding deals, right? Um, and I think that deals could be coming, right? So I think for us and for investors out there, if you're listening to this, I think in the next 3 to 6, 7, 8 months, it could be easier to get deals, right? And I think that's a good thing. So if you're prepared and you have the cash available, the deals are going to be there and you can capitalize on those. And I think that just the prepared word is a good word. Um, so I think the deals will be there, and it's still just a great place. I think Randy Placencia, who is our dispositions manager, just got 6 purchase agreements this last weekend, which tells me that a lot of people are still very, very interested in Indianapolis, because I don't see Randy getting 6 PAs every weekend. So, and it just tells me that people are still buying, people are still interested in capitalizing on what's going on. It's still a great time to buy cash flow assets in Indy. So, you still there?
What were you just calling out Randall? You should be getting 68 every weekend.
I hope so.
So, no, like you said, it's a great time for people to be looking into what they really want. And I think you brought up a really good couple points there. I want to really point out for people that are investing in Indianapolis and kind of what they're looking at right now. You went through a phase of, I know, where there were a lot of people that once one house came up, there were a lot of people looking at the same exact house because they're trying to do the exact same thing. People that are trying to like burr were all looking at, one house. You had like 30 people all trying to get one property and stuff like that. And it got very competitive and stuff like that. And right now, I think what we need to look at is make sure that you are buying right. The numbers will come down a little bit. Not drastically here in Indiana, probably maybe 5-10%, maybe a little bit more than that, but not much more than that. So that's where you're kind of looking at. I wouldn't, if you're looking to buy right now, I wouldn't hold out and saying, hey, I think we need to wait till, next month because everything is going to drop 50%. That's not going to happen in Indianapolis. That's not this kind of market. You're not going to have the huge spikes for appreciation. You're also not going to have huge spikes on depreciation and stuff like that. So, so just be careful of that. Don't if you have the money and you're ready for something, don't hold out waiting to see kind of what if the bottom's going to drop out and what those prices are. That's my recommendation. And then one of those things too is just make sure that if you don't quite have them, make sure you're not over leveraging yourself. That's what I really worry about. What I see probably some people happening right now is that if that rent check can't come in, are you going to be able to make your mortgage payment or something like that if that happens? So make sure you're being conservative on what you need to do and where you are with your money. Make sure you know kind of what you're able to do. Make sure you plan for things like this to happen. Like Brett said, we've been planning this for a while. We knew there was oh man, there's got to be some kind of a correction or even we weren't thinking anything crazy like this. We still had to adjust and kind of make changes and things like that, but we were ready for it. So just make sure within your business that you are ready for kind of what's going on and what's going to happen next. Make sure you have the cash on hand if needed to be able to maintain certain things, be able to make payments if your tenants can, or just something happens with your properties. Make sure that's always the case and that you're not over leveraging yourself. That's a big worry of mine for some people out there right now. But if you do have cash and you are ready to buy, there are some pretty good properties here in Indianapolis. And I would say whether it's us or whether it's another person that you're working with, whether it's a realtor or another wholesaler, whoever it may be, whoever's finding your deals for you, make sure you're talking to them about your criteria. Make sure they know what you are looking for. Because honestly, right now we're in a position where I feel like we can buy just about anything. Like we can have properties, as many properties as we need to. Now we just need to make sure that we are buying right and that we are conservative in what we're bringing into, that we're using our money on. So it's I want to know from my buyers, what they're looking for, what exactly they're looking for. So because I can probably go out there and find that property. So just be careful of that. So if you are, if you are buying right now, make sure whoever is buying your deals, if you're doing it yourself, that's great. If you have a deal finder or you're getting from a wholesaler, realtor, whoever it is, make sure they know your criteria. Has it changed? Anything that's going on? Because when we go through things like this, the stay at home, or we have these, this COVID-19 that's just affecting a lot of stuff here in Indianapolis and around the U.S. and around the world, that when these things happen, that there's going to be a lot of people that are that are a little, they haven't been prepared for this, and they're not able to make a rent payment, or they have or they have a house that's sitting vacant, they can't get tenanted or whatever it may be. That there are people that need to sell their properties. So it's a chance for buyers to possibly get the properties they want, and then be able to help out people as well. If you are one of those buyers buying direct from seller and things. So yeah. So Brett, what else do you have to kind of throw in here and talk about with the stay at home and just how it affects Indiana and the Hoosiers and investors that are investing over here?
Yeah, just to kind of wrap up the show here. Again, this executive order came out, and this is affecting a lot of businesses. But fortunately, a lot of the businesses that really relate to real estate investors are able to stay open. That does include banks, which is a huge one, or financial institutions, title companies. You might want to talk to your title company to see if they are staying open, but title companies are able to stay open, and real estate services are able to stay open. That includes appraisers, title services, brokers, things like that. But the company that you are working with, make sure that they are staying open, but they are allowed under this executive order to stay open. So with that, I would just really encourage you guys, as we're all kind of cooped up, we're practicing this social distancing from ourselves. And I think that that's really hard, because we're meant to be in community. We're meant to hang out and have relationships with each other. And sometimes it's hard outside, to be cooped up in our home. So I would just encourage you that reach out to someone, reach out to a friend, family member, encourage each other during this time. We're actually having some Zoom calls, just kind of hanging out. We're having a happy hour with our team tomorrow, and just kind of hanging out and talking, not about the coronavirus, right? Not about any of that. And just to kind of have some lighthearted fun. I would just really encourage you to do that. Number two, I just went for a run this morning. I think it's really important just to get outside, get the fresh air, get the blood pumping, and get some clarity. We're allowed to do that. We're allowed to go exercise, right? So making sure you're getting outside, taking a walk, doing some things like that. And we have a great opportunity here, guys. So we're able to solve some people's problems. And so make sure you're doing that. So think about what we're doing. Don't do anything stupid and crazy during this chaotic time, but just think about how you can help people, how you can encourage people, and how we can solve people's problems during this. And that's what we're here to do as investors. We're here to help people. And so hopefully this helps you guys out today. We're going to be continuing giving some great content about Indianapolis investing here on the show as we get news releases, newspaper articles, any more announcements that are coming out. We're following this to a T. So that's why we're coming out with shows kind of sporadic, just as things pop up that we think are really important. And we're going to have some great shows again, just to kind of also going back about what are the hottest places to invest in Indy, because I know we've had a lot of questions about that. What are some areas to invest in, what not to invest in? We're going to also be talking about some tenants, about how to handle tenants the next couple of months. And we're going to have some experts on the show to talk about that as well. But I think this wraps up the show. If you got anything else, Brian, that you want to say, but
no, I'm pretty good. I do want to just say, we just talked about the stay-at-home order. There were actually 3 other orders that the governor put out as well. I just want to talk about those real quick. Just the one is that the state government buildings, some of them will be shut down for these 2 weeks as well. So that will affect some state government buildings. The order for the dine-in, where you can go into the restaurant and dine in, that's still in effect, where you cannot do that. You can still do carry-out, but you cannot do the dine-in. And there's also another order that they have actually relaxed the restrictions on what restaurants that are able to serve alcohol, that they can do carry out for alcohol. So that may be a possibly good thing for this, that you can get carry out alcohol and stuff like that. So you can look into those, but there's the other orders that were put out there as well. So I just wanted to mention those as we were talking about that, but that's all I got, man.
Awesome. Is alcohol an essential service during this time of need?
It can be.
I just kidding. Sounds good, guys. Well, hey, thanks for joining us on the show today. This is wraps up another episode of the Indy Investor Pod. We'll see you guys next time.